And now the Dodgers starting lineup. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Juan Pierre leads it off. He's in left field. Rafael Furcal bats second at short. Then Orlando Hudson. What a great year he's had. His first try in a Dodger uniform. He's at second. James Loney cleans up. Andre Ethier in right field. Russell Martin does the catching. Mark Loretta gets the start at third base. Casey Blake is off. Matt Kemp is in center. And Eric Stultz, a left-hander, will do the pitching and bat ninth. And here's the guy doing the pitching for the Chicago Cubs. One of our favorites on and off the field, Ryan Dempster.
3-3 this year. And he's been remarkable at Wrigley Field. 16-3 over the last 1+ years. In fact, he won 14 games last year at Wrigley Field. That was the most wins by a Cubs starter since 1967, when Ferguson Jenkins won 15 games.
That was the sprint pitcher profile for Ryan Dempster, who has all those extra movements he does with his glove as he's bringing the ball to the plate. He's got impersonations that he does. He's bouncing around. That most guys, when they go to pitch and it's their day, we talked about A.J. Burnett the other day with the Yankees now, where nobody gets around, nobody talks to him. Ryan Dempster's looking for people to talk to, and he's taking bunting practice, and he's acting like he's a hockey goalie. He's from BC, he's from Canada, and he just loves to have fun, and he will try and slow down Juan Pierre, who has done nothing but hit since taking over for the suspended Manny Ramirez in left. What a day. And every time we get a chance to walk in here and watch those fans pack into the bleachers and enjoy batting practice the way they do, we're just happy that Wrigley Field is still around and a place where we can still go and enjoy a ball game.
Pack into the bleachers and the rooftops across the street.
First pitch of ball to Pierre, and now the next is up and away, 2-0. Dempster wild in his last start, and he was wild in his playoff start against the Dodgers last October.
Walking 7 in 4 1/3 innings in Game 1 of the National League Division Series.
There's a strike. It's 2-1. The numbers are terrific for Pierre since Manny Ramirez was suspended on May the 7th. That's too far inside, 3-1. The numbers look like this: a .411 average, 17 RBIs, great on base percentage. And setting the table at the top of this Dodger lineup. There's a strike. He's patient. Good zip on that pitch from Dempster. Full count. So Pierre, then Furcal, then Orlando Hudson. And he leaned back. He popped it up. It's on the left side. It's Tero from short with his glasses on. 1 out.
That's what National League clubs try to do, get Juan Pierre to hit the ball in the air.
And here is Furcal. He's off to a .240 start. The Dodgers were a little concerned during the week, and so they sat him on the bench. He had pain in his backside, and they thought it might have something to do with a back surgery he had last year. He's only played in 1 game over the last 5, and now here he is making the start here on Saturday, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. So back surgery last year for Furcal. In 32 games prior to the surgery, was hitting .366. In the regular season since then, last year and this, he's hitting only .239.
Tell you, if you're a National League hitter and you're trying to face a guy like Dempster, it's got to be disconcerting with that movement of his glove. He does it on every pitch. And the reason he started doing it, he thought he was tipping his pitches. Well, he found out, well, if I am, I'm going to do this, and I defy anybody to pick up what he's throwing with that much movement of his glove. No way.
Another 0-2 pitch, and up and away, ball 1. There are the numbers for Furcal against Dempster. Not much. Trying to get on in front of Orlando Hudson for the Dodgers, who have baseball's best record of 34-16. Reaching for it. Ground ball to second, and an easy pickup for Scales. 2 out. So 2 up, 2 down against Dempster, and here comes Orlando Hudson, who had the bad left wrist last year, shut down in August. Giving hugs and shaking hands and running for mayor in the batter's box is Orlando Hudson. Hello, Mr. Jeff Kellogg. I understand you're the crew chief of this umpiring crew, and hello there, Giovanni Soto. Congratulations on your Rookie of the Year back in '08. Now I'll try and hit Dempster. Strike one. This guy has fun, loves to play the game, usually has a smile on his face, and easy to smile when you're hitting .338. Ball one.
And Joe, he was a late signee as a free agent, signed for under $3.5 million on February 21st. Reason for that, he had problems with his left wrist, missed the last 45 games last year, and the Dodgers wanted to be sure that he was healthy. And has he ever been?
Well, it brings up the bigger point, and we'll get into this as this game wears on, but the job that Ned Colletti has done in building this roster and adding pieces like Orlando Hudson late, he deserves a lot of credit for this start the Dodgers are enjoying. And a good start for Ryan Dempster. Down goes LA, 1-2-3. Stults to the hill. Cubs coming up. No score in Wrigley. Up, and it's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bunt. Soriano leads it off in left, and Tero. Milton Bradley off to a slow start. Hits third. Derek Lee is the cleanup man at first base. Reed Johnson in center. Giovanni Soto. Little better this month. Awful start in April. He's the catcher. Bobby Scales is at second. Mike Fontano at third, and Ryan Dempster pitching and batting ninth. And here is Eric Stults, the left-hander. He's 29 years old, from Indiana. And as you look at his numbers, we will give you the sprint pitcher profile for Eric.
Well, it's an important start, and we'll tell you why a little later. Yet another lefty, the 32nd left-handed start for the Dodgers this year, and that's unusual for a team who is not known for its left-handed starters, with the exception of 40 years ago when the great Sandy Koufax started for L.A.
Soriano hacking at the first pitch, pops it up, in play, foul territory, and it's the first baseman Loney who takes it away from Russell Martin. One out. One pitch, one out for Eric Stults, and as you referenced, it's a big start because Hiroki Kuroda is coming back on Monday, back to the active roster for LA.
And how Stults does this afternoon will determine perhaps whether he starts again. He is nursing that sprained left thumb, and that had a lot to do, said Joe Torre, with his control his last outing last Monday in Colorado.
Here is Tero in the number 2 spot, and he takes a strike. So you've got Stults today, and for the Dodgers, Eric Milton, who has kind of reinvented himself. Rick Honeycutt, the pitching coach, done a good job with these two left-handers, and a tremendous job overall with this pitching staff. Carries in an ERA of 3.7, second best in the National League.
How about Eric Milton, a guy who went 3 years between wins? His last win in Colorado last week.
That's inside. 2-1 on Tero. On deck is Milton Bradley. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Good pitch down and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Russell Martin sets up inside, and Tero crowded with the slider.
Here's a 2-2. And a strikeout for out number 2 here in the first inning for Stultz.
That strike 2 was so good, he decided to go back in there. Little cut fastball about in the same spot as the second strike.
Stultz is a guy who was a 15th round pick back in June of '02. Spent some years in the minor leagues, had 3 stints with a big club last year, was 2-3 overall in 7 starts, good ERA. Strike 1 on Bradley with an odd swing on the first pitch from Stultz.
You know what he's doing today? He's speeding up the pace. That's what they have tried. Rick Honeycutt has tried to get Stultz to speed up the pace, and he's doing that so far.
When you talk to guys on this team, the Dodger team, they'll tell you that they don't know if Stultz realizes how good his stuff is. And maybe that has to do with a little slower approach. He's just getting it and throwing it and working on a perfect first inning as he drives Bradley off the plate with 1 up and in.
If you work slowly as a pitcher, indecision's involved. And that's the problem with working slowly.
A shattered bat, but a flare into right center out of the reach of Hudson. And a 2-out hit for Milton Bradley. So Hudson gets up, acting as if he thought he should have caught it. And there was a little hesitation right there, and then he couldn't make the play.
Well, if Orlando can't catch it, then nobody can catch it. 3-time Gold Glover with great range into shallow right field. A lot of second basemen don't even come that close.
So here's Derek Lee, who's hit 378 the last 10 games, which is important because you see his overall average at 244. So off to a slow start with a lot of his teammates. Check on Bradley, who in his first year with the Cubs has yet to attempt a steal. 1 year ago today, you look at the difference in the numbers. 13 home runs and 37 RBIs for Chicago, the team that finished with the best record in the league last year. Stultz took something off that pitch, strike 1. Cubs check in 24 and 23. That's the bad news for Chicago. The good news is they're only 3.5 games out in the NL Central. And ripped into left field, right at Pierre. The inning is over. Lee got it down toward the end of the bat. 1 hit, 1 left, 1 inning complete. At Wrigley, Dodgers and Cubs, no score. Baseball presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun, and sponsored by Sprint. Get more done with Nextel Direct Connect, only on the Now Network. By Hyundai Assurance, a little certainty in uncertain times. Ryan Dempster had a quick and easy first inning. Loney is first up. And he goes after the first pitch, flies it into center. Little better result than when these two hooked up in the postseason last year. Ryan Dempster had walked the bases loaded in game one of that divisional series, and then Loney stepped to the plate. Fifth inning, 0-2 count, grand slam, center field. And that was the beginning of what was a 3-game sweep by the Dodgers over the Cubs.
Beginning of the end.
Dusty Baker, by the way, had been the last Dodger to hit a grand slam in the postseason. The 77 NLCS against Philadelphia. Here is Ethier, and there is ball one. Andre Ethier's been dealing with a broken toenail, something that had happened to him during spring training. It was aggravated earlier in the week. Jammed on a good pitch from Dempster there, and they count 1-1.
That's a big toe on his right foot, and that can be again a real irritation for a hitter, because that's your landing foot. You feel that pain shooting through the foot, not a good feeling. Have a tendency to rush things, and that's not good for a hitter.
1-1 pitch is a strike. On deck is Russell Martin. And what becomes obvious when you write down the lineup in a scorebook or on a scorecard for the Dodgers is how deep their lineup is. Ground ball outside first, and back to the Ned Colletti point. When you have a guy like Matt Kemp hitting eighth, Casey Blake when he is in there down toward the bottom of this lineup. Today it's Mark Loretta, Russell Martin, a tough out hitting in the sixth spot. They come at you 1 through 8 in their lineup. Ethier, line drive is short, 2 out. And with the bases empty, Russell Martin will walk to the plate. This is a Dodger payroll that was reduced by $40 million compared to last year. A big hole is left with the departure of Derek Lowe, who is now with the Atlanta Braves, and the question is, where will they get those innings out of their rotation? One of the guys that they counted on coming in, as we mentioned, will come back on Monday, Kuroda. There's a 1-0 to Russell Martin on the outside corner, a ball and a strike.
The Dodgers are also not sure about Jason Schmidt, who could be back around the All-Star break. That would be a big boost if they could get a competent pitcher like him back.
That's off the bag and into left field for a hit for Martin. He will cruise into second base with a stand-up double. We're 2 out here in the second.
The guy who's really matured, says Joe Torre, is Russell Martin. In fact, Martin called Joe when he was having dinner with his son on Thanksgiving, and they determined that it would be a good idea for them to exchange phone calls every week during the offseason. Joe and his wife were in Lizard Island, right off of Australia, near the Great Barrier Reef, and Joe said, well, it's his turn to call. He probably won't call me up here. And sure enough, he called. He found him on his cell phone.
And it goes beyond that, because the Dodgers have added Brad Ausmus as their backup catcher, and he's been a great influence on Russell Martin.
Right.
Guy who was originally a third baseman, brought into pro ball, now a catcher, a guy who can run, a guy who can give you a lot of innings behind home plate. Nobody's caught more innings behind the plate than Russell Martin across baseball since the start of 2007. Here is Loretta, and there's ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And he could still run fast.
Back to the pitcher. Dempster knocks it down. All those innings he can still run, and now Russell will cut back, put on the gear, head back to work. Bottom of the second in Wrigley. Dodgers and Cubs, no score. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Taco Bell, sponsored by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. Up above here in Chicago with these beautiful pictures of downtown and Wrigley. Our aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. Get every MLB game in HD this season with DirecTV. Bottom of the second, Reed Johnson, Giovanni Soto, and Bobby Scales will be the hitters, and the first pitch, a ball from Aaron Stoltz. Johnson hits lefties, period. A .310 hitter against left-handed pitching. And he shoots one into left field. He will add to it as Pierre gets to it on one bounce, and Johnson has a leadoff single. Second hit for the Cubs. And Giovanni Soto, who is trying to validate that great rookie season last year. Rookie of the year, hitting .218 better this month after hitting just .109 in April.
Latter part of spring training, Giovanni hurt his right shoulder. It bothered him the first 2 weeks of the season. He missed 8 days during one stretch. Appears to be all right now.
And that's in the dirt. Martin blocks it. Ball one. Soto's hitting .288 in May, so a little warmer weather. The shoulder probably feeling a little better, and overall hitting .218 compared to just under .300 a year ago at this time. And overall for the Cubs, they were 28-19 last year after 47 games. They're scoring over a run less per game here in 09 than they did at this time in 2008. As Soto pops it up. Out behind second, Orlando Hudson gives way to the center fielder Kemp. One out. Here are the numbers while the Cubs were on their way to a 97-65 record. The most wins for the franchise since 1945 when the Cubs won 98. Last year, after 47 games, you see they were at 5.7 runs per game, now 4.4. The ERA higher here in 2009. And what's frustrated Piniella lately is what the Cubs have done with runners in scoring position. As Bobby Scales steps in.
1 for 17 the last 2 days against the Dodgers.
Scales goes up there swinging, strike one. Bobby Scales finally getting a chance. Entered pro ball in 1999. Hit .320 last year at AAA Iowa. A couple of pinch hit home runs with the Cubs this season as he takes ball one in the dirt.
I was kidding Bobby before the game. He's a University of Michigan grad, and after spending 10 years in the minor leagues, he's in his early 30s. I said it's about time you had that Hail to the Conquering Heroes song sung here at Wrigley Field, which is near Ann Arbor, which I guess is about, what, 180 miles from here, northeast or so.
So he's getting a chance, and getting a chance today to play second base while Fontano tries to fill in at third. That's a ball down and in 2-1. The problem for the Cubs is their real big presence in their lineup, Aramis Ramirez, is out. Lou Piniella hopes to get him back around the All-Star break. But while he has been down, the Cubs have had virtually no production out of the third base position in Ramirez's absence. 2-2.
Lou Piniella hoping his team can tread water, and he hopes that a team like the Cardinals, Milwaukee, or perhaps Cincinnati doesn't get on a hot run and put some distance between them and Chicago.
Big numbers, 364 average and a run producer. Aramis Ramirez out with the dislocated left shoulder. 2-2 pitch. Scales strikes out. Good pitch down and away. 2 away.
Good changeup from Eric Stoltz. You know, we were talking earlier about a left-hander, this being the 32nd start for a left-hander. The Dodgers really have not been, over the last 3 or 4 decades, they haven't been known for their left-handed pitching. In fact, from 1992 through 1997, they had 681 consecutive starts from right-handed pitching. That's a major league record.
Stoltz checks on the runner at first, Reed Johnson, who led off with a base hit. Then Soto flied to center. Scales struck out. Now Fontano at the plate. There have been a couple of notable left-handers, though, that have, as you said, the obvious one. But Fernando Valenzuela is another one on that list. I think the one guy who was kind of mixed in there was Bobby Ojeda after his days with the Mets that broke up that string, or was a guy to get a left-handed start for the Dodgers. There goes Reed Johnson. Throw down by Martin is not in time, and a stolen base. First of the year for Johnson.
Terrific jump by Reed Johnson. And it's always tougher for a catcher to throw with the left-handed batter up there because he can't see him running. With a right-hander, the vision is clear. And sometimes that bang-bang deal like that is the difference between a stolen base and a caught stealing.
Good call by second base umpire Mark Wegner. And now a hit could give Chicago the lead. A 1-1 pitch to Fontano. Is hit high and deep into right center field. Back at the wall. This ball is off the ivy. Cubs strike first as Fontano delivers with a 2-out RBI double.
There's a hit for the Cubs with a man in scoring position after the stolen base. Next pitch, hammered to right center. So the Cubs are on the board.
This is game 3 of a 4-game set. 2-1 Dodger win on Thursday. 2-1 Cub win here yesterday. And now Ryan Dempster will try and come up with a 2-out hit. 2 for 22 swinging the bat, and he deals with Eric Stoltz. And what a play by Martin.
Wow.
What an athletic move by Russell Martin to barehand it, pop it into the air, and then catch it with his glove.
This is hard to do, folks.
Cubs strike first, lead 1-0. Back after this from your local Fox station. MLB on Fox, presented by Taco Bell. Beautiful day, great scene here at Wrigley, and for Chicago, a 1-0 lead for Ryan Dempster. Kemp, Stultz, and Juan Pierre will be the hitters, 8, 9, and 1 for LA. So here's a number 8 hitter hitting .296. A good pitch down and away from Dempster, strike one. Start looking down at the bottom of this lineup. It's a big difference between the Cubs and Dodgers here in '09. The production they're getting in the bottom end of their lineup. And for Joe Torre, it's got to remind him kind of those great years with the Yankees where he would have guy Posada hitting down toward the bottom of a lineup, with Brocious and all the production he gave New York over the years. Obviously different with a pitcher batting in the National League, but 1 through 8, they come get you, and that's a big reason why they're 34 and 16. The 1-2 pitch from Dempster, 2-2.
Joe Torre has been the manager for teams that went to 13 postseasons in a row. That is the 5th all time on the American sports scene.
First strikeout for Dempster, and that's the first out here in the 3rd inning. Good pitch down, and Kemp over the top. So that'll bring in Eric Stultz, and we'll bring to our telecast Kenny Rosenthal, who joins us from field level here at Wrigley Field. And some news to report, Kenny.
Joe, huge development today in the NL Central. The Reds have placed first baseman Joey Votto on the disabled list due to stress-related issues. Votto had that ear infection, those flu symptoms. He's been unable to stay on the field, and the Reds are going to really struggle for offense without him. Yeah,
he was number 2 in the league in hitting, Joey Votto. Somebody, Walt Jocketty, the general manager in Cincinnati, was really excited about going into spring training, and for good reason. If you don't know it, look where Cincinnati is. And that was a team that Lou Piniella mentioned before the game today when we talked to him about a club that could potentially win the division. So they will miss their big presence at first base as Stultz strikes out, 2 away. That's now 2 guys in the NL Central, by the way, who are dealing with stress and anxiety issues. Khalil Green, the shortstop in St. Louis, and really the only big acquisition the Cardinals made over the offseason, is hitting right around the 200 mark, and he is admitted to an anxiety or stress disorder, and he's found himself on the bench more than in the lineup for Tony La Russa.
I guess the most celebrated stress disorder in the major league, Zach Greinke, the starter with the Kansas City Royals, who has an earned run average now in 10 starts of 0.84. He would be the starter for the American League in the All-Star game if it were started within the next week.
Other guys, Dontrelle Willis, who got over that supposedly and worked his way back up through the minor leagues, back to Detroit. Good pitch. Strike 2, and here are the numbers for Zach Greinke, who at one point was talking about walking away from the game. That's how stressed he was, and all he's done is throw stress at American League hitters. 8 wins and an ERA of 0.84. And Pierre stays alive as Soto can't hang on to the foul tip. So the count's still 0-2. Pierre popped out to short his first time up. And a ball up and away. Dempster starts this game with a record of 3-3 and an ERA of 4.99. Signed a 4-year extension in November. He is locked into the Cubs through 2012 as that skips in 2-2.
Juan Pierre, a guy that if you know a little, you like a lot.
You and I both separately talked to Joe Torre about Pierre, who is hitting over 400 since Ramirez was suspended, and he said it was amazing the attitude he had. He was the first one to the park every day, even when he wasn't playing, knowing he wasn't going to play. Strikes out here as the bottom falls out of that pitch, and Dempster strikes out the side in the third. Pierre is 0 for 2. Who's coming up for Chicago? Soriano will lead it off. Bottom of the third, 1-0 Cubs. Soriano leads it off and takes a strike from the lefty Eric Stultz. Ryan Tero will follow Soriano, then Milton Bradley. Top three in the lineup for the Cubs, who lead 1-0. A 2-out RBI double by Mike Fontano last inning. That's strike 2. Soriano fouled out to first, his first time up. He's been dealing with a sore left knee. Hasn't homered since the 17th of May. Banged that knee into the wall late last month, and it has been bothering him. When Piniella, we talked to him about it, asked him if he needed a day off. He said, yeah, Monday, which is a day off in the schedule for the Cubs. He wants in there, and he waits for a 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Soriano with 195 home runs, and the #1 spot in a lineup, which is second all time to Ricky Henderson's 293, and Ricky will go into the Hall of Fame this summer. 2-2 pitch is in the dirt. From 0-2 to 3-2.
You get the idea with Stultz. He's trying to get Soriano out on balls out of the strike zone, which a lot of National League pitchers do. Alfonso, one of the freest swingers in the National League.
And he strikes out. Strikeout number 3 for Stultz. And that's the way the bottom of the third inning begins here at Wrigley. Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball. Reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide, together they create a positive place for kids. And this can certainly be a positive place for kids. Wrigley Field, as they are jammed in. And Tero takes the ball.
We talked earlier about the rooftops across the street, not only jammed here at the ballpark, but the Chicago Cubs get 17% of the revenue generated from fans sitting on the rooftops around Wrigley Field. It used to be nothing. And then the Cubs management said, we've got a pretty good product here to sell, and we want our fair share of income, and they got it now. What a scene.
Here's a 1-1. And another foul. I can tell you with great certainty that there aren't a lot of people across the streets on rooftops that are paying 100% attention to this game.
Right.
Hey, man, what are you doing? Give me a call. Guy's reading a magazine.
No cell phones on the rooftops.
Got his feet up. And that grazed Tero to send him down to first. And Stoltz is surprised that that ball hit Ryan Tero.
Looked like that slider on which he struck out Tero his last time up. And that one, I think, hit the back pant leg or the right pant leg. It's not that the pant leg is front and back. They're side by side for most people.
They are. I mean, it just depends on when you're looking at something.
When you're a hitter, you have a front and a back pant leg.
Here's Milton Bradley. And there goes Tero. And there goes a line drive into right. Base hit. Tero to third. Throw is cut off. And good movement on the bases. A base hit to right for Bradley, who's 2 for 2. And the Cubs have runners at the corners with 1 out for Derek Lee.
Little animation by Lou Piniella setting Tero in motion. And a breaking ball on the inside, kind of inside outed by Bradley. Ethier really has no play with Tero, a fast runner, running on the play, and the Cubs with a chance for more. That's the one thing Tero did not want to do, depend on the second baseman to allow him to know where the ball is. He looked at the right fielder and went to third easily.
We're going to talk to Lou Piniella after this half inning is over, and one of the things we'll talk about is what we talked about with him before the game, which is his hope to just kind of tread water here over the next few weeks, get healthy, get Harden back, get closer to the time when Aramis Ramirez comes back. He believes that their bullpen is starting to settle in, and by the end of the summer they'll have a good mix down there. A lot of different faces here in 09 for Chicago. Here's Lee. And a good block by Martin. Bradley takes off. Throw down is in time, and he's out. And that takes the easier RBI chance away from Derek Lee, as now Tero's at third with 2 out.
And that's what you have to be careful about when you try to run on a guy who is as athletic as Russell Martin. That ball does not bounce that far away. Now, you could understand Bradley being thrown out on a ball if the ball was to the left of Martin. But when it's to the right, the runner at first base has a clear view of where the ball is. That was not a good base running play by Bradley. Aggressive, but wrong.
Here's Lee now taking ball 2 up with Tero at third, 2 out. Derek Lee flied out to left his first time. He's driven in 19 runs. A 2-0. On the inside corner from Stoltz, 2-1. A lot of Cubs fans remember the collision that Derek Lee had with Rafael Furcal on a play at first base. Fractured his wrist. It was back in 2006. The power has dropped off a little since then, but he's still one of the more dangerous hitters and an outstanding defensive first baseman. 3 balls and a strike. Runner at third with 2 out. And a walk to put first and third for Reed Johnson. First walk by Eric Stoltz in this game. Reed Johnson singled, stole a base, scored a run on the double by Fontano last inning, and here he is first and third and a chance to add to the Chicago lead. And a bunt third base side, and a base hit, an RBI, and a 2-0 Chicago lead.
A bunt for a base hit and a beauty by Reed Johnson. You talk about a blueprint that he put down the third base line. The only guy who had any chance was the pitcher Stultz, and he slips.
It's certainly a play that if you're Reed Johnson and it works, people think, yeah, well, why not? Why not drop one down? Third baseman's back, the left-handed pitcher, big left-handed pitcher getting off the mound. Great play. If it doesn't work, it really sticks out. Then you say, well, gosh, this guy's hitting over 300 against left-handed pitching. He already has a hit. Why not swing the bat?
Well, that's why you want to bunt the ball and down the third base line. I mean, you can't make the error of bunting it too close to the pitcher. When you try a bunt attempt like that, it's got to be either down the line or foul. That was perfectly done by Johnson.
Honeycutt paid a visit. Now it's runners on at first and second with 2 out for Giovanni Soto.
It's what Lou Piniella meant when he said that Reed Johnson's a nice little player.
Lou likes the word little.
Yeah, he does. A nice little player.
They got a nice little bullpen.
Yeah.
They have a nice little rotation. Reed Johnson's a nice little player.
Lou's a nice little manager, too.
Oh, yeah. Seems to be the perfect fit for the guy here in Chicago. We talk about stress. We talked about that with Joey Votto and Khalil Green and Dontrelle Willis. Lou Piniella seems to find a way to either relieve the stress by going out and letting his feelings show on the field toward an umpire, or laughing certain things off and saying, well, what can you do?
Yep.
There's a strike to Soto, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Bob Brenly and Len Casper do the majority of the Cub games. They do such a terrific job. I love listening to him. And Bob Brenly had a great line when Lou Piniella took over here. He said if Lou Piniella wins a world championship for the Cubs, they'll name a lake after him.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. And a ground ball left side. The shortstop for Cal makes the play. We'll talk about a man who maybe someday will have a lake named after him during the break. 2-0 Chicago.
What's going on?
Grilled chicken. Taste the unfried side of KFC by Cadwit. and by Bank of America. Show the world it's not like, it's love. Get MLB banking only from Bank of America. Sun pops out from behind the clouds here at Wrigley, and Ryan Dempster now has a 2-0 lead. Deal with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Dodgers. That's for Call, Orlando Hudson, and James Loney. Since Manny Ramirez was put on the suspended list on May the 7th, the Dodgers have changed the way they've scored runs and consequently won games. Joe Torre has the top 3 spots in his lineup filled with guys who have all hit leadoff for other clubs in the past. And so they're more of a run-producing team as opposed to a club that lays back waiting for a long ball, waiting for Manny Ramirez to sling the team on his back and carry him. Run production is dead even from when Manny Ramirez was on the active roster. That's ball 1 up and away, 1 ball 2 strikes.
In fact, the Dodgers have produced the fewest runs via the home run than any team in baseball.
It's been a precipitous drop since Manny Ramirez left the club. That's outside, 2-2.
They just came to Chicago after winning 3 games at Coors Field in Colorado and didn't hit a home run. That was the first time a visiting team had ever gone into Coors Field in Denver and won a 3-game series and didn't hit a home run.
There's strike 3 for Call. Was looking for something else, and Dempster has his 4th strikeout in a row. We talked to Lou Piniella. First question was about his day today and his club, with Dempster pitching well, and his team has come out and scratched out a couple of runs.
Well, that's a style of baseball we've been playing lately. We depend on good pitching and putting just enough runs on the board. And it's been working. Hopefully it works a little better. But look, we've had some problems here injury-wise, and we've scuffled a little bit. But, we're still in contention, and we hope to stay there.
Yeah, and really you have to feel like if you can keep doing what you're doing, hang close, when you get healthy, then I think we'll all have a better sense as to how good the Cubs are here in 2009.
That's really a good case in point. That's exactly what our objectives are, and once we get completely healthy, we're starting to put our bullpen together the way we want. A rotation when we get Harden back in. So you're exactly right. That's our job, and hopefully we can do that.
All right, you got 10 seconds, Lou. How good of a player is Reed Johnson? You like watching him play, don't you?
Yeah, he knows how to play. He really does. He's very professional. Does an excellent job in the outfield. Can hit for reasonable power, and he can lay down a bunt like you did there. Great play.
Hey, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. So with 1 out and nobody on, and after that chat, a 3-ball 1-strike count on Orlando Hudson, and now a 1-out walk. So that breaks a string of 4 consecutive strikeouts by Dempster. Puts a man on for James Loney, who was driven in 36 runs, 5th highest total in the National League, but has only 2 home runs hit here in 2009.
That's another example of the Dodgers and their different style offense under Joe Torre without Manny Ramirez.
Wanted to talk to Lou Piniella about that Gatorade machine that's in their dugout.
Yeah.
If I kind of wondered if that was something that was available to Lou when he was a player. Throw down to first and back easily as Hudson. If that machine or something like it would have had a few dents in it when he was playing, I would imagine. I know it's sponsored by Gatorade. You could put a target on that thing because it's just waiting to get pummeled by a bat or some upset pitcher or hitter.
Well, the one thing with Lou, when Lou was a player, the Gatorade cooler had to be on the floor because he used to kick things. He was very careful about not hitting objects that don't move with his hands, because your hands are your business partner. You got to, Lou was not a fast runner, so if he broke a toe, broke a bone in the foot, it wasn't as big a deal as breaking something in the hand.
But he could get his leg up there.
Yeah, well, he could.
I mean, if he had to, in a pinch. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 on, 1 out.
Carlos Zambrano, however, uses neither his hand or his foot, particularly when he went after the Gatorade machine on Wednesday.
Dempster went after it. I mean, it's just begging. Lou said that thing's been hit so many times I pushed the water button and fruit juice came out. That's a strike over the inside corner, and strike 2 on James Loney. We will show you what's going on here during the week after Loney does something here with 1-on-1 out, and the Dodgers down 2-0 in the 4th. That's in the air to left. Long run for Soriano. And now back a few to make the catch in fair territory. 2 out. Here is Carlos Zambrano on Wednesday. That is Mark Carlson, the home plate umpire. That's Zambrano's bat. That's the Gatorade thing. And that's on the road at Dodger Stadium. Maybe something with Gatorade.
Yeah, they ought to change the machine's name to Snapple, because that's exactly what Zambrano has done.
1 on, 2 out. The batter is Ethier, and that's a ball. Kenny, keep your eyes peeled. You may see something down in that Cubs dugout before the end of the day, and you're closer than we are.
Joe, we've heard about abuses involving voting machines in this town, but the Gatorade machine now qualifies as the piece of equipment that is getting the most abuse. A Cubs official told me it only has a couple of more days because basically they want to get it out of there.
There's a strike over the inside corner.
There are some teams that have a punching bag in the dugout for guys who are frustrated, and to me that's a good idea, because when you hit it, not only will it not hit back, but it won't hurt your hands.
Here's a 1-1 pitch, 1 on, 2 out. I think the television in the clubhouse is a great release of stress for the guys who sit back and second guess everything we say. These guys are morons.
That's a point.
It was a curveball, not a slider. The 1-1. A little high, 2 balls and a strike. Dempster wanted it, didn't get the call, and now he falls behind in the count. So he talks to his glove. Doesn't want to go over the top with any issues with umpires. I think the Cubs have had enough of that for the first half of 2009. Here's a 2-1 pitch. And a good delivery. Had Ethier out in front. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good splitter and a fastball count to Ethier.
Hudson on at first. He drew a 1-out walk. Dodgers have only 1 hit. It belongs to Russell Martin. It went off the third base bag in the second. A check on Hudson, who with 2 strikes here could run. Orlando's stolen 4 and has not been caught so far this season.
Fastball inside.
There goes Hudson, and a fly ball into left. Easy for Soriano. Flips down the glasses, makes his hop, makes the catch. Dodgers have left 2, trail by 2 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Alexander Eric Stoltz. It'll be the bottom part of the order. 7, 8, and 9. Scales, Fontano, and Dempster for the Cubs, who lead 2-zip. Well pitched ball game so far on each side. Better by Dempster than Stoltz. Scales takes ball 1. Bobby struck out his first time. And now up on the count, 2-0. Stoltz is 4-1. He's been much better at home. 3-0 at Dodger Stadium. 1-1 on the road with a big ERA of just under 6.5. 2-0 pitch is down and away. 3-0.
That is one statistic that I have always understood. When a pitcher is better at home than he is on the road, the reason that he should be is you play 81 games at home and the mound is the same. On the road, the mounds vary. They don't vary in height, but they vary in slope and in feel. So being 3-0 at home and 1-1 on the road makes sense for almost any pitcher.
Well, there's a uniform height as to how high the mound should be, but correct me if I'm wrong, over the years there was always the rumor or the perception that the mound at Dodger Stadium was higher than others.
From what pitchers told me, both during my playing days and after, was that slope at Dodger Stadium on the pitcher's mound was the best in baseball. And I see no reason that it's still not the best in baseball.
Check on the runner. That's Scales.
The height of the mound lowered after the 1968 season from 15 inches to 10 inches. I've always marveled at the fact that they lowered the mound. But in basketball, they haven't raised the baskets. And yet basketball players are 7'6" and 7'4".
They live above the rim.
Yeah, live above the rim. Right.
Here is Russell Martin jogging out to talk to Stoltz, and now Honeycutt will pay a visit, and Guillermo Mota, right-hander who's not back with the Dodgers, will get loose. Stoltz walked the leadoff man. He's behind on the count to Fontano, which gives us time for a DirecTV game break. So far for Tampa Bay, David Price has 6 strikeouts through 3 innings. The first 2, Morneau and Kadire swinging. No score, bottom of the third, 1-0 Minnesota. Joe Dillon, solo home run to left off Liriano. First home run this season for Dillon. It's a 1-1 game then. It's 3-1 now. Bottom of the third, Tampa Bay Rays on top of the Twins. Watch your favorite MLB team no matter where you live with DirecTV. 1-0 is the count on Fontano. First RBI of this game with a 2-out double into right center field. This guy Fontano's not a big guy, but he can put a charge into a baseball, and now gets a sniff of one up under his chin. It's 2-0.
Chin music, a tune that hitters do not like. That was close.
It looks like Stoltz is struggling right now to find his release point. Doesn't know where it's going, as Fontano fouls it back, and it's 2-1.
That was ball 3 to Fontano, but pardon me, he took Stoltz off the hook. You could see this ball tailing up and in. Fontano helped him out.
So with Mota warming up, Stoltz is trying to hang in the game. And as we said earlier, Kuroda's coming back to this Dodger rotation on Monday. So Stoltz needs to be better than this, and he doesn't know where it's going right now. 3-1. Looks like he's aiming it, trying to find the strike zone. And if he guides one in there and makes it too easy of a pitch, Fontano, as I said, not a big guy, 5 home runs, and during batting practice, he was hitting them out onto Sheffield Avenue beyond the right field wall here at Wrigley. Here's a 3-1. And a fly ball into right center field. Well hit. This ball is one hop off the ivy. Scales will score easily. Fontano will head to third and make it with an RBI triple. 3-0 Chicago here in the fourth.
Gene Mock, the late great manager, used to call 3-1 and 2-0 pitches down the middle of the plate when a hitter was expecting them. Cookies. Here is a cookie to Fontano. Boy, did he hammer it.
And now a shower for Eric Stoltz as he gives up an RBI triple to Fontano. That's his last pitch of the day. Scales scores easily. Runner at third. Nobody out. Stoltz is gone. Dempster coming up. Moda coming in. Hits. He's allowed 3 runs, responsible for the runner at third, nobody out. And Moda pitches to Dempster and strike one. Time for the Zantac relief pitcher profile. Heartburn, attack it with Zantac, and this is Moda, who came up through the Expos organization, established himself in the big leagues with the Dodgers, and now here he is back around, pitching for LA again. 2 quick strikes on Ryan Dempster.
If you're ever at the ballpark and one of your friends says, well, man on third, no outs, the pitcher's up, you ought to squeeze here. Tell them you never squeeze with nobody out. Never.
Here's an 0-2. And strike 3. Dempster knew it. He heads back. A good start to the outing from Moda. But now it gets tougher with Soriano walking to the plate.
Yeah, the reason you never squeeze with nobody out is because your next hitter is an RBI man in this particular instance.
And that's Soriano with 25 on the year and 12 home runs, which is good for tied for 8th in the National League. That closed stance of Soriano hangs right over the plate. And almost hit by the pitch, ball 1.
Well, that's why you have to pitch him inside. You have to maintain control of the outside corner. And with Alfonso Soriano hanging over the plate like that, it's often good strategy to get him away from there and then go away.
Doesn't back off after that first pitch inside. Now a 1-0. Pretty good pitch. 2-0. Soriano has some of the best wrists in the game. He just rolls the wrists and the ball jumps off his bat.
Only weighs 170 pounds, but he hits like he weighs 210.
2-0 pitch. to the right side. Loney looks at the runner. Fontano gets the out at first, 2 away. So Soriano can't produce the run. And it will be up for Ryan Tero here with 2 out in the 4th.
Now you can see how Fontano is off at third base and then stops. You can do that when the ball's hit to the right side of the infield. You can come halfway because no first baseman really has a good enough arm to throw behind the runner.
It's up to Tero for Chicago. Hit by a pitch, scored a run as last time. And ball 1 up and away. Fontano's had a nice day batting in the number 8 spot. The third baseman has driven home 2. One with a double, one with a triple. Now he waits for Tero to bring him home. 1-1 and a huge swing by the Chicago shortstop.
Yeah, Ryan Tero wants this pitch back right down the pipe. Just swung through it.
Down and away. For the game, Andres Blanco was taking ground balls over at third base, and Alan Trammell was hitting fungos to him, giving him ground balls. And Tero took over for Trammell and started hitting fungos before he got in the cage to take his BP to work on his stroke, and he delivers with a 2-out RBI hit to left to score Fontano and make it 4-0 here in the 4th inning.
My advice to Tero would be to take the fungo up again tomorrow afternoon before the game. Do the same thing as he drives in the 4th Cub run of the game. Another fastball. He did get that fastball back. You remember the swing and a miss? And then he gets it back and drives in Fontano, his old LSU teammate.
This Cub team was 1 for 17. Hitting with runners in scoring position the first 2 games of this series. Come through 3 times in 7 chances so far here today, and now Milton Bradley stands in. And a late swing and a miss, strike 1. The story with Bradley is not only good production, he's a career .280 hitter. He's bounced around in his career, usually been productive. I played for the Dodgers for a while. What he brings typically is a very high on base percentage as Tero goes, and Bradley fouls it out of play. A .425 on base percentage between the last 2 years, 07 and 08. This year he's at .330 and doesn't seem to have a real good feel for the strike zone and hasn't settled in yet in his first year with the Cubs, first year of a 3-year deal. Tero draws a throw. Ken Rosenthal, the Cubs moved some money to be able to sign Milton Bradley to a big deal, didn't they?
They sure did. They traded Mark DeRosa. They traded Jason Marquis. Their intent was to get more left-handed, bringing in the switch hitter Bradley, playing Fontano at second base. Milton Bradley told me yesterday, this is the first time in his whole career that he struggled like this. It's not a normal situation for me. I don't know how to react.
He has a chance here with 0-2. Instead, another throw over. One of the reasons why they wanted to get more left-handed was because of their performance in that 3-game series last year in the divisional round against the Dodgers.
That's right, Joe. They lacked balance, and they knew that. But with DeRosa gone, Ramirez getting hurt, DeRosa would have filled that spot. These moves have been debated hotly here in Chicago, and they'll be debated the entire season if the Cubs continue to struggle.
The crowd's getting restless with Mota continually throwing over to first.
Well, particularly a guy like Mark DeRosa. He had 87 RBIs last year, and Lou Piniella called him the most valuable player on the club. How many times do you see a team reach the postseason and then trade their most valuable player? Jim Hendry, the general manager, saying we needed young pitching and we had to give up DeRosa.
The other name on that list, obviously Kerry Wood, who was the closer and now is in Cleveland, and then Jason Marquis, who's tied for the league lead with his 7 wins, tied with Johan Santana. And I would imagine Jason Marquis' name will pop up on potential lists for different teams looking to add pitching as we go through 09. The pitch is high. The throw to second is in time. Terio's out stealing to win the inning. Terio saying he tagged me on my ear. I was already on the base, but he's doing it so politely. Won't even be mad. The Gatorade cooler is safe. Inning over. 4-0 Chicago after 4. For the Dodgers, introducing the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. You can see only the one hit. That's the job that Ryan Dempster has done. The guy at the plate has that hit. Now he is 1 for 2 as Russell Martin takes the first pitch and lines out to Mike Fontano to start the 5th. 4-0 now. Chicago leads it. Now to bring in Mark Loretta, who's 0 for 1.
But every time I see Russell Martin, I think of last year's All-Star game, 15-inning affair in the last year of Yankee Stadium. Russell Martin was the catcher who made those brilliant plays. The tag on the throw by Nate McLouth. What a memorable All-Star game that was.
That was at Yankee Stadium in its final year. And we will be in St. Louis on July 14th. And it'll be the 5th time that St. Louis will host the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and the first time since 1966. At the second version of Busch Stadium, now they're in their 3rd. That's back to Dempster, who's making it look easy. 2 out. Take a look at who is leading in the National League voting. So far in the outfield, it's Ryan Braun, Carlos Beltran, and Alfonso Soriano of the Cubs. You see Wright, J.J. Hardy, Chase Utley, Pujols, and Yadier Molina, the catcher. But down in the left-hand corner, you have Manny Ramirez, who is currently 4th at last check, about 34,000 votes shy of Beltran, who is in the number 3 spot in the outfield. And that has obviously sparked the debate across the country as to whether Manny Ramirez should be an all-star. Currently serving a 50-game suspension for violating the league's drug policy.
I think with the circumstances surrounding Manny Ramirez, he should not be on the All-Star team as a starter or as a substitute.
That's down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, if he's voted in, he's voted in.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the procedure that's in place.
That's right. Opinion really doesn't matter.
1 ball, 1 strike. It's always been in the hands of the fans, or it has been, where they have done the voting, and I think for the most part they've done a good job. The fans in general have done a good job in stocking the starting lineups for each side over the years. Joe Torre was asked about it, came out and said that he agrees with what you just said, that in this case, with Ramirez coming off the suspension on July 3rd and what he's gone through, and with the suspension, that he should not be an All-Star. And he went on to say, if you asked Manny, he'd give you the same answer. Voting ends on July 2nd. Manny returns, barring rainouts, on July 3rd. That's just up and in. Torre went on to say that I think the significance of the All-Star game is to reward players who have had a good first half. Ramirez hitting .348, 6 homers, 20 RBIs in 27 games when he was suspended. Tough play, and right through Fontano into left. Should be a base hit for Kemp, and that will bring the pitcher's spot, and Brad Ausmus will come off the bench and pinch hit for Mota.
Joe, there has been some talk about Commissioner Bud Selig perhaps saying that Manny Ramirez cannot play in the All-Star game. I talked to Gene Orza, who's the chief operating officer of the Major League Baseball Players Association, and he said he referred us to Section 8, Article H. And that states that a player shall be deemed to have been eligible to play in the All-Star game if he was elected or selected to play. And here's the key point. The commissioner's office shall not exclude a player from eligibility for election or selection because he is suspended under the program. So it's really against the collective bargaining agreement that the players have with Major League Baseball. So if you follow the letter of the law, the commissioner cannot say that Manny Ramirez is not allowed to play in the All-Star game.
See Jeff Weaver getting loose. Ken Rosenthal is with us, as he has been all day and all year, and weigh in on it. What do you think, Ken Rosenthal? Do you think Manny Ramirez, let's say he is voted in, is this a case where the commissioner is then compelled to do something to stop that from happening, or just let it happen?
Absolutely not, Joe. He cannot selectively prosecute Manny. You've had A-Rod admit to using steroids. Bonds was elected as a starter in '07 after he told a grand jury that he unknowingly used substances alleged to be steroids. We've seen time and time again over the past few years that fans do not hold baseball to a high moral standard. They see it as entertainment. All through the steroid era, attendance has risen, revenues have risen. If they want to see Manny, they're going to see Manny.
2 balls and a strike on the pinch hitter Ausmus as Dempster tries to get around a 2-out hit by Kemp. That's off the plate to the shortstop Tero, and to throw across ends the inning. Dempster has been outstanding. We'll talk to Joe Torre during the break. Play it for you in the bottom half of the 5th. Going there 4-0 Chicago. For the Dodgers, he's the third pitcher of the day. Eric Stoltz, a left-hander, goes 3+, 4 runs, 6 hits. Mota, 1 inning, 1 hit. He allowed an inherited runner to score. Did strike out 1, and now Jeff Weaver is into the ball game in the bottom of the 5th with a 4-0 Chicago lead, and Milton Bradley, who was at the plate and Tero was caught stealing to end the 4th, is getting a fresh at bat to start the 5th. Hard to believe, but these two clubs have faced each other 2,026 times, and each team has won 1,013 of those meetings.
Since 1890. That is remarkable.
Split right down the middle, and they've split the first 2 games of this 4-game series. Cubs lead today, and there's ball 1 to Milton Bradley. And Bradley off the end of the bat into right field. He has his 3rd hit of the afternoon, starting to heat up. Here's our chat with Joe Torre, and the first question was about his left-handed starter Eric Stoltz and what he saw from him today.
Well, Joe, a couple of weeks ago he jammed a thumb, and it seems he starts out all right, and then you notice he slows down. His tempo is slower, and I have a sense that he's getting a little tougher feel for the ball after the first couple innings. I thought the first 2 innings he was aggressive, and it just looked like he slowed the tempo down.
It's hard for us, Joe, to ignore the issue at hand. We were just talking about Manny Ramirez, and Tim weighed in and basically echoed what you said and were quoted as saying yesterday, which is you don't believe that with the suspension Manny Ramirez should be an all-star, that somebody else should be rewarded for having a good first half.
Well, Joe, Timmy tell you, he's been an all-star a number of times. I've been on a number of teams, and it's a prideful thing when you do well in the first half. And if Manny obviously didn't have much of a first half, so if he's on the team, it's really keeping somebody who's played more and is more deserving in the first half.
Joe, we thank you for your time and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Joe Torre saying that yesterday, and he obviously has been around this game long enough and has established the credibility to say that about his own player as Derek Lee fouls it back. And I think there's a slight distinction between arguments. I think what Joe Torre is saying is that it should be more performance-based as opposed to punitive against Manny Ramirez for being found in violation of the baseball drug policy and basically extending his punishment to keep him out of the All-Star game.
Yeah, because not performing in the first half of the season is not necessarily, it does not preclude a player from making the All-Star team. Rafael Palmeiro, in fact, when I was talking to Gene Orza the other day, Gene brought up Palmeiro of several years ago. And I really haven't checked when that was, but I think Palmeiro played 16 games and ended up starting the All-Star game because he was voted in.
That is off the plate. And again, it brings back what Ken said, and I would agree with Ken 100% on this, that it's in the hands of the fans. The starting lineup is in the hands of the fans. They vote. They send the players this year to St. Louis as the starting lineup. And if the fans, more of them, want to see Manny Ramirez than somebody else, then they will, period. And really the commissioner's hands are tied in this case because it's in the collective bargaining agreement that he can't, in essence, extend the punishment. That's down the left field line off the bat of Lee. Bradley will stop at third, and it's second and third with nobody out for the Cubs here in the 5th inning.
What the Cubs have done today that they haven't done really in the past month with any consistency is they've gotten runners in scoring position and on third base with either none or one out. And when you do that, you have a chance to score cheap runs. You don't depend on that 2-out RBI that's so difficult to come by.
So now it's Reed Johnson, who's 2 for 2. Dealing with Jeff Weaver. The infield comes in about halfway up the middle. Runners on at second and third, nobody out. And Weaver's first is in for a strike. Jeff Weaver has had an interesting run the last couple of years. He was as big a reason as anybody why the St. Louis Cardinals won the World Series in 2006. That is not overstating it. What he did in establishing himself in their rotation under the guidance of Dave Duncan. A big reason why they won it all and beat the Tigers that year in the series. There's a strike to Reed Johnson. Didn't like the call. It's 0-2. He then left St. Louis as a free agent.
Went to Seattle, right?
Went up to Seattle, and well, he didn't go well there at all. He's found his way back to the Dodgers and has been effective. 0-2 pitch is just hammered foul. Final in from Toronto, 5-3 as the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox. The Marlins took it to the Mets. Atlanta beating Arizona. Tampa Bay still leading now. They've added to it 4-1 in the 5th inning over Minnesota. Here's an 0-2. And fastball is high. 1-2. Sidearm delivery is smothered by Russell Martin. 2-2. Cubs could blow it open here in the 5th inning with the way that Ryan Dempster is pitching. They might have enough already. Dempster's allowed only 2 hits, 1 walk. He struck out 4. He leads 4-0, trying to rebound from a 4-inning outing his last time out against the Pirates, the start of this homestand. First time this season he did not turn in at least 6 innings as a starter. A 2-2. Full count. After Johnson, it is Soto. And the advantage is gone for Jeff Weaver from an 0-2 count to a 3-2 count. Second and third, nobody out, and a foul straight back. We were doing a game last Saturday, Tim, in New York at Yankee Stadium with the Phillies playing the Yankees, and we were talking about the Phillies being short in their rotation. They may be real short now with Brett Myers going down with a torn right labrum.
Out for the season.
It's in his hip. Yep. Another torn labrum in a hip.
I'd never heard that word 10 years ago. Labrum, not hip.
You know me well. You knew where I was going. That's down and away, and that'll load him up. A single, a double, a walk. Soto coming up. Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. What a day to be up above in a blimp. Whether it's looking down here at Wrigley Field or pointing your camera in the direction of Chicago, which will be jumping tonight, or looking out to Lake Michigan. And our aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Get every MLB game in HD this season with DirecTV. Bases loaded with nobody out for Giovanni Soto. And the ball low. Bradley the runner at third, Lee at second, Reed Johnson on at first. And that's ball 2.
Big league hitters thrive in these situations. And Rick Honeycutt knows it.
He knows what has happened in this Cubs lineup today, and now you will. Our Hyundai in-game box score as we introduce the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Soriano not in on the fun. The guy at the plate, Giovanni Soto, is not in on the fun. Fontano certainly is, with a triple, a double, 2 RBIs. Reed Johnson, a couple of hits, now a walk. Derek Lee with a double and a walk. And how about Milton Bradley heating up a little on this homestand? He has 3 hits. So Honeycutt after the visit with nobody getting loose for the Dodgers in their pen. Back to the dugout. And here comes a dangerous 2-0 pitch to Giovanni Soto. Right down the middle, 2-1. And a little bang of the bat onto the helmet. Disappointed he let that one go by untouched.
Yeah, Soto thinking, what was I thinking then?
The 2-1. A little high and tight, 3 balls and a strike.
So Giovanni has a chance to do it again. A 3-1 count, similar to a 2-0 count.
Soto hitting .288 in May, 0 for 2 in this game. Pops it up, back, and out of play. Full count. Bradley, Lee, and Johnson the runners on with nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. Cubs already up 4, and ball 4 makes it 5-0. Back-to-back walks after the 2 hits, and Weaver forces home a run. So Bradley scores. He led off this inning with a base hit to right. And here is Bobby Scales. And ball 1 from Weaver. Already 22 pitches in this 5th inning. Nobody out. A run is home, and the bases are loaded for this veteran right-hander. Bobby Scales has an opportunity here. There's a strike. Cubs have put 6 players on the disabled list during the month of May. One of them is Aaron Miles, a free agent addition over the offseason, and a utility backup infielder. Another one is Ryan Friel, and when he was put on the DL, Scales, who had been sent out to AAA, never really left the city, was reinstated to the active roster, and now with the bases loaded, nobody out. Good movement on that pitch. Scales in the hole, 1-2.
Yeah, Lupinella telling us that his infield badgered by injuries, and the Cubs were thinnest in the infield. Only one extra infielder breaking camp.
That's foul. Cubs with a chance for a back-breaking hit in the inning. Instead, a ground ball. Hudson starts it for Call in the middle. Double play. In to score is Lee. And it's 6-0 Cubs. Runner at third, 2 out. No RBI for Scales, but another run for Chicago, who lead by 6.
And you may be thinking, why not play the infield in? Well, the bases are loaded, nobody out. The odds are the double play gets you out of the inning with fewer runs scored. Cubs already have a 6-0 lead, but the percentages there favor the double play depth.
So Fontano, who's doubled home a run, tripled home a run, scored once, gets the intentional pass. It'll be first and third for Ryan Dempster, who has done more than his share on the mound today for Chicago. So now 1st and 3rd, 2 out for Dempster. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Ryan Howard and the defending world champs, the Phils, head to Los Angeles to take on these Dodgers. A rematch of last year's NLCS. So the Indians take on the White Sox. The Twins take on the Mariners. That's Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Sears. Returns next week at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Here's Dempster. Ryan is 2 for 24 swinging the bat.
You could see Russell Martin stepping out in front of home plate. You may be interested in what he's doing. He's telling the middle infielders on the rare chance if Fontano runs what he's going to do with the ball. And I would imagine all those signs that Russell was giving, if Fontano does attempt a steal of second base, he will not throw through. Not with the pitcher batting and 2 out.
Here's an 0-1 from Weaver. And a little squirter off the end of the bat. Foul out of play. Strike 2. First 2 games of this series, both 2-1 affairs. The Dodgers winning on Thursday, Cubs yesterday. For the Cubs, 3 runs in the first 2 games, 17 hits. Look at what they did with runners in scoring position. A lot of frustration. Only 4 left on base so far here today. 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and ball 1 inside to Ryan Dempster. I don't know who runs the scoreboard here at Wrigley Field, but I would like that person to pick my stocks. Because it seems like before the pitch is caught, it's either a ball or a strike on the scoreboard here at Wrigley. Here's another foul by Dempster.
That's a bold statement. Now to have somebody pick your stocks.
Well, looking for anything. Here's a 1-2 pitch from Weaver to Dempster. Inning is over. Weaver put the first 3 on, then walked a run home. A double play ball followed a strikeout of Dempster. 6-0 Chicago as we go into the 6th on a beautiful day by Lake Michigan. by Taco Bell, sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. By Gillette Fusion, Gillette's closest, most comfortable shave. And by Craftsman, trust in your hands. Top of the 6th inning, and Ryan Dempster is back to work. Only 2 hits allowed by Dempster. And he fires a strike to Juan Pierre, who is 0 for 2. Talked about what Pierre has done with his average, coming in at .411 since Manny Ramirez was suspended. Casey Blake has hit .400 over that time, and the Dodgers have raced out to by far the best record in the big leagues, and an 8.5 game lead in the West over the Giants. Good pitch to tie up Pierre, strike 2.
Juan Pierre went 0 for 4 within the last 5 years, and it was against a good pitcher. And after the game, a reporter said, well, that pitcher really had great stuff and very effective on you. And Juan said, he's got a big house too. Isn't that a great line? He's got a big house too.
Here's a ground ball to the second baseman. Scales scoops it up and throws him out, 1 away, and Pierre has been held off base. Pierre got a big contract to get a big house coming to the Dodgers, and he has since put on the shelf since Manny Ramirez joined LA last year. As the Dodgers and what they're doing in the NL West start talking about a magic number before too long.
Yeah.
But now Pierre is back, getting a chance to play, and a pitch to Furcal is high, ball 1. Juan Pierre, a big part of a Marlins championship back in 2003 when they beat the Yankees.
I was talking to Charlie Steiner, who's a broadcaster for the Dodgers, before the game, and I told him, I said, you know, the Dodgers have a 9-game lead in the National League West, and I would imagine that they're getting tired of everybody saying, well, sure, they've got a 9-game lead, but they're in a weak division. You know, this is a very good ball club. I mean, to where when they get back, Manny Ramirez back, with the way things are going and the rest of the National League, you know, they could be the best. They could be a favorite to go to the World Series in postseason.
I totally agree. And when you talk about their lineup, I think you also have to look at their bench. You have to look at the combination of youth and guys that are finally coming into their own under the guidance of Joe Torre, the presence of Joe Torre in the dugout. There's a good veteran group that travels around with his Dodger team. They've added Brad Ausmus. They've got Mark Loretta, who's in the lineup today and is just a good professional player. Orlando Hudson's been a great addition. Mark Sweeney, who was one of the more liked players, is now an assistant coach and travels with this club. And even Doug Minkiewicz, who's such a good influence on younger players, is on the disabled list, maybe hoping to get a chance to play in September, but he's traveling with this club just because of what he brings, his experience. And so when you walk into their clubhouse and you see young guys like Broxton and Billingsley and Kershaw and some of the others, and then you see the veterans, you know why this team is rolling in the NL West. Ryan Dempster is rolling on the mound. He has struck out 5. He's allowed no runs on 2 hits and leads 6-0 after 5.5 at Wrigley. give you our Flomax replay, and this is back in the second. A bunt attempt by Dempster, and the bare hand effort by Russell Martin. Flipped it into the air, caught it with his glove to end the inning. And Soriano goes after a high hard one from Weaver. Strike one. Alfonso is hitless, hitting .248, trying to play with that bad left knee. And now the 0-1. Good spot from Weaver. 0-2.
It's become a tradition here at Wrigley Field to have a guest performer sing the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" 7th inning stretch, and Larry King will be the singer today. I don't think I've ever heard Larry King sing.
He threw out the ceremonial first pitch here today and was good, impressive. Threw pretty much a strike from just in front of the pitching rubber. They're evidently having Action Hero Week here at Wrigley with their 7th inning stretch singers. They had Mr. T earlier in the week and Larry King here today.
I have just spotted Larry King. I've been looking for him, and he is in the Cubs radio booth with Pat Kelly and Ron Santo.
Pat Hughes.
Pat Hughes, I beg your pardon.
Here it is. King, number 2.
All right, Larry. Yeah, baby.
And anywhere Larry goes, a microphone is soon to follow. It's been a weird week across baseball as we end the month of May. 0-2 to Soriano. Good pitch from Weaver. And his second strikeout. Here you go. We rewind the tape. Well, there was Jason LaRue almost getting attacked by runaway sausage. Then Zambrano snapping on Wednesday. Then in the game between the Twins and the Red Sox, both catchers and both managers were ejected. So 4 players in all. And after the strikeout of Soriano, the batter is Tero. Ball 1. Ball 2.
We talked about Zambrano a couple of innings ago, and I can empathize with Carlos, Joe, because I was that way for my first 5 years in the major leagues. I was a hothead. I thought I should get a hit every time up. I didn't think I ever should make it out. And I was frustrated one night after an at-bat against Steve Blass at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh in 1967. A check swing with the bases loaded. I went down in the tunnel. I was going to show that tunnel who was boss with my bat and my helmet and anything else I had. And Roger Maris was behind me. He had followed me down in the tunnel. And he said, "Do you realize what would happen to this team if you were injured?" I played another 13 years, and I never threw my helmet. Ever. I didn't throw anything.
There's something to be learned in that story for a guy like Zambrano, who
Yes.
is the centerpiece of this rotation here at Wrigley.
That's right. I was certainly not the centerpiece of that ball club, but I was an everyday player and everything. But the light went on when Maris said that.
Looking for his 4th hit. Bradley grounds into a 4-6-3 double play, and he sends us into the 7th. Meaning we're a half inning away from Larry King singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Back after this from your local Fox station, 6-0 Cubs. On Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Ryan Dempster is working on a gem here against the Dodgers. 7th inning, he's allowed 2 hits. He struck out 5, walked 1, and he delivers high for ball 1 to Loney. James is 0 for 2. He's fly to center, fly to left, and high and tight, 2-0. Loney, then Ethier, then Martin. The Dodgers have to get something going to jump back into this game. And that's off the end of the bat into right center field. Bradley makes the play, 1 out. This season, fans can use Twitter to stay connected to Fox Baseball. Followers receive alerts to original video and columns posted on foxsports.com. Photos from wherever and insights from Fox's MLB announcers as we tweet throughout the week. Follow us at twitter.com/MLB on Fox. Bob Myers with our caricatures and adding Mr. T to the group. Kenny, aka Norman Fell. Tim, who looks rugged. Me, who looks like a gigantic headed dweeb, and then Mr. T. That's down the right field line, and extra bases for Ethier. Bradley gets it back in. Good play by Bradley, but a double either way you look at it. 1 on, 1 out. Bob Myers does great work.
Oh, he does.
And adds a lot to our broadcasts on a weekly basis. And now adding the 3rd hit to the scoreboard is Andre Ethier. 1 on, 1 out.
It is in some ways more difficult to catch with a big lead. You've heard that expression. It's difficult to pitch with a big lead. It's difficult to catch with one. Also, the one thing you try to do, number one, you try to eliminate walks more than anything. Make them hit to get on. And try to call your game as though the game were close. And that's a very dicey issue when you're trying to avoid the walks.
Here is Russell Martin. First pitch, a strike from Ryan Dempster. And the next is outside, a ball and a strike. I sent Steve Horn, our editorial consultant, on a chase to figure out why Russell Martin has J. Martin on his uniform top on his back over his number. His middle name is Jeanson, Jeanson, and it's his salute to his mom. So he's got J. Martin on his back, but he is still R. Martin on your scorecard. 1 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
May know the story. Russell Martin, growing up in Montreal, his dad, to make extra money, was a busker. I didn't know what a busker was until I read that in his profile last year.
Fly ball into right. Glasses on. Bradley makes the catch, has his momentum going forward. Good play, 2 out.
A busker is someone who plays music for money, and that's what Russell's dad did to try to bring in extra cash for the Martin household.
So with 2 out, Martin is back in the dugout, and Mark Loretta stands in. So Loretta has had a nice career, bouncing around, playing second, playing third, playing some short, play anywhere. And he can hit as Corey Wade, the right-hander, gets loose for LA in their bullpen. Runner at second, 2 out. Dempster is trying to get through 7 strong. That's foul. Loretta has bounced back to the pitcher Dempster twice. One time took a pretty good play to get the out. And that's outside. Ryan Dempster was the closer for the Cubs. 2005 to 2007, had 85 saves during that stretch. Returned to the rotation last year, was an all-star, had a perfect inning, struck out the side in the all-star game at Yankee Stadium. 17-6 was his record for the year, and an ERA of 2.96. And he gave innings, 200 6 innings total. As we mentioned, all he thought about over the offseason, I'm sure, after he signed his contract extension through 2012, was that Division Series Game 1 loss when he couldn't go 5, walked 7. His Cubs lost to the Dodgers 7-2 at the start of that 3-game sweep. 2 away from 100 pitches on the day, and he has a 2-2 count on Loretta. Kemp, the number 8 hitter, on deck. No action for the Cubs in their pen. The 2-2. Line drive into right, well hit. Bradley is back and puts it away. Larry King is seconds away. A 1-out double. Dodgers have left 4, trail by 6. Time to stretch at Wrigley.
Dodger fans, everybody, everywhere, this is our song. Let's hear it. 1, 2, take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back, so it's root for them. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Yes!
To destroy the world. Enjoy. Bottom of the 7th inning, and Jeff Weaver pitches to Derek Lee. Ball 1 inside. Just for the education of our producer Pete Macheska and our director Bill Webb, who, when I read that tagline for Hulu, when I said enjoy, it's a website where you can get a lot of clips from anything you might want to see that's been on TV in high def on the web. So that's why we ask you to enjoy. We're going to give you the Hulu game summary and ask you to enjoy that after this pitch on 2-0 from Jeff Weaver, who's trying to eat some innings here late in the ball game. Lee chops it foul. Here you go. Hulu game summary. Fontano's had a nice day. Dempster's outstanding. 3 hits, 7 innings, no runs. Bradley. 3 or 4. You're reading ahead. That's not fair. And Tim reviews Larry King's performance. He nailed it. Game summary brought to you by Hulu, an evil plot to destroy the world. Enjoy. 2 balls and a strike and a foul backing out of play. 2-2.
Larry King nailed take me out to the ball game.
There is no doubt.
Woo. That was good.
I don't know that I'd give it a woo.
Well, I mean, for take me out to the ball game, it was a woo.
I mean, Tony Bennett would get like a woo.
Well, I mean, for Larry King, that's as good as Larry King can do.
I don't know that to be the case. I've never heard him sing it before. Maybe that was an average performance by Larry.
No, that was as good as he can do.
Here's a pop-up to the right side. We'll let you judge for yourselves. Is this the woo? Listen.
Cub fans, Dodger fans, everybody, everywhere. This is our song. Let's hear it. 1, 2. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back, so it's root for the... If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Yeah.
Here's a whoop into left field off the bat of Reed Johnson. It's 7-0 Chicago. Third of the year for Reed Johnson. He takes Jeff Weaver out to left. And Reed Johnson has had a perfect day at the plate, on base 4 times, and it's 7-zip Cubs.
Yeah, just think about what Reed Johnson has done today. He single scored the first run of the game for the Cubs. He had a bunt base hit with 2 outs and a runner on at third base to drive in a run. And after a walk, he now homers. What a day for a good little player, as Lou Piniella would say.
Trying to get on a roll here at Wrigley are the Chicago Cubs, now a game over 500, on their way to their 25th win of the year, and this ball was crushed.
Wind blowing in here at Wrigley today, and the balls that get out when the wind is blowing in are the balls that really go under the wind, the low line drives, and that's what Reed Johnson did. What a day he has had.
The 1-1. Strike 2 on Soto, who lost his grip on the bat. 1-2.
I don't get a woof in that explanation. I don't suppose that line drive was under the wind, but it was under the arc where the wind would affect it. I think that would be better said, right? Kind of tough to hit a line drive under the wind. Right.
I didn't have a problem with it. I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's hit a golf ball knows you.
Yeah.
To your low, a little stinger hit from Tiger Woods. You don't want to deal with the wind.
Right.
Seagulls are invading Wrigley Field right now. Look at this. Wait, where's Billy Webb? These seagulls are flying around center field. What's going on? Singing of Larry King has brought out the seagulls. They're headed our way. Three balls, 2 strikes. They're a little off. Usually the birds are here when the game is finished, because we started at 3. Seagulls had set their daily planner for a little feeding here at 5:25, but we're still playing. A 1-out walk from Weaver, and our Gillette trivia question. Gillette, focus on power. Name the 2 second basemen with 25+ home runs in 4 consecutive seasons. 2 second basemen, 25+ home runs in 4 consecutive seasons.
I would have to take an initial guess and say one of those second basemen is a guy, a Hall of Famer here, who was the MVP in 1984, Ryne Sandberg.
He would be on my list. Maybe Jeff Kent would be on my list.
Yep.
Former Dodger. Brent Leach will take over. We can't get enough. It's the fist of power.
It's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Yes!
The outfield here at Wrigley. We are in the bottom of the 7th, and the left-hander Brent Leach takes over. 12th game. ERA over 5, and he deals with the switch hitting Bobby Scales, and he fires a strike. Matt Kemp is out there dodging birds as he looks in at ball 1 that's delivered from Leach. Ken, are you safe down there with these birds flying around?
So far, so good, Joe. During the break, Cubs third base coach Mike Quade was kind of looking at the birds, just laughing. And he came over to me and said,
"Go ahead, that's all right."
He said there's been a long time since they had this much fun in the ballpark with this big a lead.
Yeah, it has been a while for the Cubs. Runs have been hard to come by. Birds they know the inning is over, circling around, getting a little stretch. Let's go to the 8-7-0 Chicago. He will bat in the number 9 spot. And Angel Guzman is the new pitcher for Chicago as he takes over here in the 8th inning with the Cubs up 7-0. Matt Kemp is first up. Then Jamie Hoffman will pinch hit. And a strike from Guzman. Cubs have scored in every half inning except the 1st and 6th. There hasn't been that one blowout inning, but they have put the pressure on all day. And it's our Just for Men holds graphic. Just for Men hair color holds leader. Got Marmol, Redondo, Madsen, Mott, and Athos on that list so far in 09 as a foul is out of play off to the right. Just as those pitchers kept their teams in the game, you too can stay in the game with Just for Men hair color as Corey Wade, who was throwing last inning, is at it again. 0-2 is the count on Kemp, who has a hit. He is struck out. And that one's fouled back to the screen. Still 0-2.
One of the areas where the Cubs have really improved is their bullpen, and they're going to be stronger when Sean Marshall, who is tomorrow's starter, gets back in the bullpen, because that's going to give Lou Piniella a left-handed option that he only has one of right now, and that's Jason Waddell. He's the only left-hander in the bullpen, but Sean Marshall is scheduled to start tomorrow. And then when Rich Harden comes back, Harden will be in the rotation. Marshall will go to the bullpen.
Harden has started to throw a baseball again. His back is feeling better. That's a broken bat base hit into left. Kemp is 2 for 3. Soriano chases the birds out of the way, pushes him over toward right center, and Kemp has his second hit and on to start the 8th. Take a look at the Bank of America fan cam. Want to show the world it's not like, it's love. Get MLB banking only from Bank of America. Fans here at Wrigley on a beautiful day in Chicago. Leadoff man is on, and at the plate is Jamie Hoffman. Hit a home run in his first start, and a young player from New Ulm, Minnesota, about 90 miles from Minneapolis. Grew up as a hockey player as well, and was an 8th-round pick 6 years ago by the Carolina Hurricanes. Started this year at AA, went to AAA, and now he's in the big leagues, and he takes a strike from Guzman. It's 1-1.
It's a feel-good story for the Dodgers. By the way, New Ulm, Minnesota, the hometown of Terry Steinbach, formerly the catcher with the Oakland Athletics and the Minnesota Twins.
Here's a 1-1. Left side, charged by Fontano. Good play, out at second and out at first. Brilliantly turned with Fontano starting, but outstanding in the middle by Blanco.
This is big time right here. Watch the turn by Blanco with Kemp bearing down. Well done.
Score at 5-4-3 with Fontano to Blanco and on to first. And that's about as tough a double play to turn, and done beautifully by Blanco in the middle, who got dumped by the runner Matt Kemp.
Well, if you miss the second baseman with your legs, you try to clip him with your arm. It's perfectly legitimate, and that's what Kemp did. But Blanco still turned the double play.
A 1-0 to Juan Pierre is grounded back to Guzman. Gets it, throws it, bottom of the 8th, rolls in at Wrigley. Cubs are having fun today. Good play by Blanco out at second base. 7-0 Chicago. Presented by Taco Bell, sponsored by Miller High Life, good honest beer at a tasty price. By AT&T, your world delivered. And by Just for Men, stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. What a day. And up above, aerial coverage brought to all of us by DirecTV. Get every baseball game across the big leagues in HD this season with DirecTV. New pitcher's Corey Wade. And that ball skipped in there to Fontano. When the Cubs brought in Guzman, they did not use a double switch. So the pitcher's still batting in the number 9 spot. And Hoffpower has come into the on-deck circle to bat for Guzman. And Aaron Heilman will take over in the 9th. Here's a 1-1 from Corey Wade, who was so good out of the bullpen last year for the Dodgers, who made it all the way to the NLCS, losing to the eventual world champion Philadelphia Phillies. Fontano's had a big day. 1-2 pitch skips in there. Mike has been intentionally walked. Did an RBI triple, scored a run, and a 2-out RBI double to get the scoring started back in the 2nd. 7-0 Chicago, bottom of the 8th. And Fontano rolls one over to first. Loney makes the play himself, 1 out. Today's trivia question brought to you by Gillette. Focus on power. And there's the answer at the bottom. The 2 second baseman with 25+ home runs in 4 consecutive seasons. Ryan Sandberg from 89 through 92, and Alfonso Soriano did it from 02 to 05.
That's tricky. You don't think of Soriano, who was a second baseman for the New York Yankees, and then for a while with the Washington Nationals, and now when he came to the Cubs, left fielder.
Here is Hoffpower, who can really hit. Cubs have an interesting situation in that they've got a couple of players who they really like swinging the bat. Michael Hoffpower from the left side. Jake Fox, who they just called up, who was just tearing up AAA. The problem is, in a perfect world, they would both be playing first base. Hoffpower went around. That's strike 2. First base is occupied by Derek Lee, so Hoffpower plays some outfield. And they may at some point feel comfortable enough to put Jake Fox at third base just to get his bat in the lineup.
He has been working with Alan Trammell, the infield coach, for the last week. He can hit. So can this guy.
Ball 1 just inside.
It's a very difficult situation for a National League club, because obviously you don't have the designated hitter. If the Cubs were an American League club, it would be much simpler to play Hoffpower.
A strikeout. Martin has an odd throw and makes it perfectly 2 out.
Or to play Jake Fox. I mean, American League clubs would love to have those 2 guys, but this is the National League.
Tomorrow, NASCAR on Fox will be in Dover, Delaware, as Kyle Busch tries to defend his title against a full field of the world's best drivers. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing, presented by McDonald's from Dover, begins tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific in high definition, right here on Fox. 2 out. And here is Soriano, who has not had a good day swinging the bat. And with a backhanded pickup, long throw by Loretta. Soriano is 0 for 5. His day is over. And we go to the 9th. 7-0. Chicago out in front. A beautiful Saturday at Wrigley. Cubs wrapping up their 25th win of the season, trying to win the second game of this 4-game series. They lost the opener on Thursday, winning yesterday 2-1 and leading here 7-0 as they turn it over to Aaron Heilman. The 2, 3, and 4 hitters due for the Dodgers. First up is for Call, and that's ball 2-0. For Call is 0 for 3 with 2 groundouts and a strikeout. There's a strike for Call, taking all the way 2-1.
Aaron Heilman, one guy the Cubs, Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, said they've got to get straightened out. He is a key member of their bullpen.
The 2-1 pitch is fouled back. 2-2. Yeah, any bullpen is constructed with the idea that certain pitchers are going to fill certain roles, and Heilman was always going to be one of the primary setup relievers, along with Marmol setting up Kevin Gregg, or Gregg setting up Marmol, whatever it was. But Heilman was a big addition the Cubs thought coming in, and he's still trying to get it all together. Here's a 2-2 that's just up and in, full count.
Here's a guy who grew up in nearby Logansport, Indiana, went to Notre Dame, and everybody knows how important Notre Dame is to the city of Chicago.
3-2 pitch. Foul.
And how popular and tradition. I guess South Bend's about, what, 80 miles from here, I think?
Not much of a drive.
No.
Give you a game break after Furcal does something to start this 9th inning. After Furcal, it's Hudson, then James Loney, if anybody gets on 8th here. The Dodgers, who have been shut out on 4 hits. 3-2 pitch is tapped foul again. We talked about it last year during the postseason that Joe Torre was absolutely blown away at what kind of a player Rafael Furcal is on an everyday basis. Not knowing him, seeing him from a distance from the other dugout, he never had an appreciation for what kind of a team player he is, and he's on with a leadoff hit to start the 9th, and we give you a DirecTV game break. Bottom of the 7th, 2-1 Atlanta. 1 on, 1 out. Chris Young singles to left field, scoring Ryan Roberts. It's a 2-2 game as Young ties it in the bottom of the 7th. Now they're in the bottom of the 9th. That's your favorite MLB team, no matter where you live, with DirecTV. Here's Orlando Hudson. 0 for 2 with a walk. Came in with the most hits in the National League, 69 hits. Ball 1 low. Among second basemen, only Aaron Hill of the Toronto Blue Jays has a higher average. Blue Jays have taken a tumble in the AL East. Now Heilman falls behind 2-0, and they start to groan here at Wrigley.
Beat the Red Sox for the 2nd consecutive time this afternoon, but you're right. I mean, they have at one time I think 6 games ahead of the Yankees. Now the Yankees in first place in the American League East.
Yankees won last night in Cleveland 3-1. Pett had hurt his back in that game. Mariano Rivera got the save. Yankees play later. Red Sox have lost. The Blue Jays beat them. So with the Yankees sending out their big high-priced left-hander CC Sabathia against his former team, the Cleveland Indians, they have a 1-game lead over Toronto and Boston. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Hudson. 3-0.
I think a major concern, Joe, with each mounting day, the continued fall of David Ortiz and the Boston Red Sox. What's going to happen? batting .184 with 1 home run going into this afternoon's game.
How about a 4-pitch walk to Orlando Hudson after a leadoff hit by Furcal? And a visit from Larry Rothschild as action will start for the Cubs in their bullpen, and now Marmol has to get loose.
Yeah, once again, we talked about Larry Rothschild telling us before the game that the one guy in the bullpen the Cubs have to straighten out is Aaron Heilman. And a base hit by Furcal on a 3-2 count, and now a walk to Hudson.
Pepsi is the official soft drink of Major League Baseball, and they congratulate Reed Johnson, today's MLB Clutch Performer of the game. It's presented by Pepsi. It could have gone to Reed Johnson, certainly Ryan Dempster, Milt Bradley, Mike Fontano. Johnson hit his 3rd home run of the season in this game. To learn more about the MLB Clutch Performer of the Month award at PepsiClutch.com. You can visit that site. Check out some of the clutch performers across the major leagues. Here's Loney, who could take a bite out of this 7-0 lead for the Cubs in the 9th, and he takes a strike. Well, the Cubs, after having Marmol pitch yesterday, would have loved to have gone through this game not having to even get Marmol loose in their bullpen. But he is getting ready as the count goes to 1-1 on Loney from Aaron Heilman.
Yeah, by using Marmol today, then the chances of the Cubs winning tomorrow, the odds would be greater because of the extra work from Marmol.
That skips in, so struggling and trying to find a rhythm and a groove is Heilman. It's 2-1.
You may win a ball game, but what toll does it take on the bullpen in the process of winning a game? You understand that in a 4-3, 3-2 game, something like that. But when you have a 7-run lead, you want to clamp it down and not have to go to your main guys in the bullpen.
And Heilman hasn't been close. 3-1. He backs out, looks at third base coach Larry Boa like they verbally just said take a pitch. Let's see if he does. 3 balls and a strike. He does, and it's a full count. Dodgers 34-16, 4-1 on a 7-game trip. They swept Colorado, won the opener here, lost yesterday, and trail here this afternoon. 3-2 pitch. Double play ball. Tero in the middle on a 4-6-3 twin killing takes the pressure off this 9th inning for Heilman. Blanco to Tero and on to Derek Lee.
That's taking the positive approach, thinking that a pitcher with runners on at first and second and nobody out is 1 pitch away from getting 2 outs, and Heilman did that.
Now Ethier trying to extend this game, and the fans were left here at this ballpark, and there are plenty of them standing and applauding Chicago. Strike 1 to Ethier. Today's game produced by Pete Macheska, directed by Bill Webb, editorial consultant Steve Horn, the associate director Darren Foster, broadcast associate is Brian Biederman. Technical producer Matt Benedict, our statisticians Wayne Fiddleman. Pre-game show produced by Don Bowie, senior producer of Fox Sports Bill Brown, and the executive producers of Fox Sports David Hill and Ed Goring. Here's a 1-1 on the inside corner, strike 2. Jonathan Evans down in our truck prior to today's game as well. It's been a fun afternoon. A lot of action here at Wrigley Field in a 7-0 Chicago lead. 1-2 pitch to Ethier. 2-2. McCall led off with a hit. He's at third with 2 out. Heilman trying to preserve a shutout. Good pitch off the hands of Ethier. Good pitching in this series for Chicago with Randy Wells on Thursday, Ted Lilly yesterday, Ryan Dempster today. Tomorrow, it's a night game. A matchup of Sean Marshall, 3-3, good ERA, against Eric Milton. Coming off a win, he's 1-0. Now 2-2. To the second baseman. Comes up on Blanco. This game is over. Cubs win it 7-0. We will take a break, come back, and wrap up our afternoon at Wrigley Field. Handshakes from Lou Piniella out of the dugout, and the Cubs have won 2 straight. Back with more from Chicago after a word from your local Fox station.